It was supposed to be a quiet Saturday morning in Willow Creek Estates, a sleepy, gated community with trimmed hedges, nosy neighbors, and one resident who definitely thought she was the neighborhood sheriff, Karen. Karen's the kind of neighbor who times how long your trash can stays at the curb, logs your guest license plates in a spiral notebook, and has the HOA board on speed dial. So when a suspicious man was seen standing outside my house in jeans, sunglasses, and a plain black jacket, well, you can guess what happened next, and she made a big deal out of it. Yes, there's a man loitering near 416 Sycamore. He's not from here. He's staring at the houses. I think he might be casing the neighborhood. Please hurry. What she didn't know was that the suspicious man was my godfather, Michael, who just so happens to be the current director of Homeland Security. He doesn't come by often for obvious reasons, but he had a weekend off, and since he was in town for a conference, he decided to stop by my house early to surprise me. Now, Michael isn't flashy. He likes to dress like a civilian when he's off duty. No motorcade, no earpieces. Just a quiet black government-issued SUV parked respectfully across the street. But Karen saw a brown-skinned man she didn't recognize standing still, not smiling, and immediately jumped to the worst conclusion. I was upstairs in my home office when I got the call. Michael on the phone. "Hey, I'm out front." "Awesome, I'll come down." "Wait, what's that noise?" I peeked out the window and saw two squad cars pulling into the cul-de-sac. Officers jumped out and approached Michael with caution. One had his hand resting near his holster. I bolted down the stairs and out the door yelling, "Whoa, whoa, he's my guest." The officer raised a hand toward me. "Sir, step back. We've had a report of suspicious activity." Michael, ever calm, slowly pulled out his credentials and handed them over. Not just a driver's license, his federal ID with clearance levels I can't even pronounce. The officer looked at the badge, then did a double take. "Sir, is this legit?" Michael smiled politely. "You can call the Department of Homeland Security to verify, if you'd like. I'm the director." You could see the shift in their posture. The officers apologized immediately. One even looked visibly nervous. Karen, meanwhile, had come outside to supervise. She had her arms crossed like she was proud of herself. That is, until one of the officers turned to her and said, "Ma'am, you called in a false report on the Director of Homeland Security." Her face went from smug to sheet white. She stammered, I didn't know. He looked suspicious. He was loitering. That's not racial. It's behavior-based." Michael simply looked at her and said, "Ma'am, part of my job is monitoring threats to national security. I can assure you I'm not one of them." Karen, still flustered, blurted, "Well, how was I supposed to know that?" "You weren't wearing a badge." I couldn't help but say, "Karen, you called 911 on my family. Maybe next time ask before assuming." Michael chuckled. "She's lucky it was me and not someone with less patience." The officers left after shaking Michael's hand and offering their apologies. Karen shuffled back into her house like a scolded child, peeking through her blinds every 5 seconds. Later that afternoon, a few neighbors came over to meet the man Karen called the cops on. They brought cookies and asked about his job. Michael handled it all with class, never once mentioning the incident again. But Karen? Oh, she was the talk of the community Facebook group for weeks. Memes were made. Someone even photoshopped her face onto a Neighborhood Watch Gone Wrong poster. The HOA issued a reminder about not abusing emergency services, and a quiet vote was held that removed Karen from her unofficial position as neighborhood security chair. And now, every time Michael visits, he walks proudly up the street, sunglasses on, jacket zipped, and waves to Karen's house,